Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to a special interview with Chips Enuff of Enuff Z'Nuff. Thanks so much for being here.
Brendan, thanks so much for all your kind words. I really appreciate it on behalf of the band. It's always nice
Absolutely.
to have a brother that's out there pushing the good music that the public needs to hear every single day. Not just my band, but
Yeah,
all the groups that you actually promote. It's much appreciated. I'm speaking for everybody.
thank you, man. I really appreciate that. The whole reason I started this channel here was to promote the kind of bands that I like, which I'm not seeing out there. So to try to give a voice and shine a light on a lot of cool underrated bands that just don't get enough love.
Right on. I totally agree with you. There's a ton of them out there, and I believe me, on my spare time, I'm pushing all the new stuff that's out there as well. There's the Lemon Twigs. What a great band. No one's talking about them. They're
Yeah,
fabulous. Go see them live. If you like bands like the Beach Boys and the Beatles, you'll love the Lemon Twigs. Then there's others out there too. Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown, really
oh,
solid band.
they are so good.
Wonderful band to see live. Yeah, great stuff right there. Of course, we all know about the bands like Rival Sons and Dirty Honey
But yeah,
and the Struts. They're all doing very well right now. They're starting to pick up a little traction, which is real nice. We need those bands to carry the American flag for us. It's very important to keep rock and roll out there and moving forward. But if we stop playing music now, there was no more bands that came out, no more music. There's enough music out there right now to keep us going for a lifetime.
there, there certainly is. I mean, look at the stuff behind me here. I've got over 13,000 CDs in my collection. So, um, tons of stuff. But the crazy thing is, I'm always finding something new. It doesn't matter. It's like every time I think I have everything that I'm ever going to want, there's something more out there. So, you never know.
Absolutely. And I have quite a collection as well. I have a huge collection as well, not as big as yours, probably. Although if I put all the Enuff Z'Nuff records in there and all the demos I have, I'm catching up to you for sure. But
Well,
you got just a beautiful picture right there of a great collection of CDs. And oh, thank you very much. It's
this is the
I'm very
2028.
honored. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But like I said, man, I've been a fan for a long time since the beginning, and really enjoyed the stuff that you've done. I'm enjoying what you're doing now, so I certainly want to spend some time talking about the new album as well. Um, but one of the things that I just wanted to throw out there, and we're talking about great bands and bands that continue and carry the spirit and all of that, is that what's so impressed me about Enuff Z'Nuff is the resilience of the band. You guys have been together since what, 84? And you've never broken up. You've continued, you've carried the torch, and you've just been out there doing it the whole time. And I was sort of wondering, is that just like a mental idea or directive from the start was to thrive and survive and to just keep this thing going?
Yeah. Who gears up anything for failure? My first bands when I graduated from Brother Rice High School,
Mhm.
I joined a punk rock band called Degeneration. We went to Los Angeles
Yeah.
and worked with Bill Norbus, one of the old managers from the people that used to have that TV show, Hollywood Squares. And we pay him $200 a week to manage us. And he put us on gigs, playing every single place out there, all little nightclubs. And he got us in a couple of festival gigs with Boss Gags and the Grateful Dead. We were 17 years old. We were kids. And when the band fell apart because of substance abuse and promiscuity, which is what the common denominator for most bands that fall apart, you have to witness and
Mhm.
embrace. I came back to Chicago and put together Enuff Z'Nuff, and I put it together for a lifetime. That's what I wanted to do. I worked when I was younger. I worked at U.S. Steel with my father and as a construction engineer,
Mhm.
and it just didn't trip my trigger. And then when I got together with Donnie, we put together Enuff Z'Nuff back in late '83, early '84. That's exactly what we want to do: is just write songs and record and go out and play and tour and reach people.
Mhm.
And that was the common denominator. And there was nothing else that was in our way. And we were serious as a heart attack. And we started recording in my little apartment in Blue Island. I lived on a place on 2231 Prairie, and we had a 4-track Fostex, and just started recording songs with
Yeah.
Elisa's drum machine. It's just Donnie and myself.
Mhm.
And we put together a bunch of songs, and I went out to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and met my manager, Bob Brigham. And I said, we write hits, and those guys blew me off. They didn't think anything of it. And 6 months later, I got a telephone call from Tel Aviv, actually, And they said, you know what? You're right. You guys do have some hit songs here. Come on down to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Let's talk about it. And that started the ball. And from there, did our demos out there, and that's where we met Doc McGee.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc said to me, I got 3 cassette tapes in my car. 2 of them are your band. I said, oh, Doc, I appreciate that. It's really nice. I know he was busy at that time managing bands like Motley Crue, and I think he had Scorpions at the time as well as Bon Jovi.
Mm-hmm.
But he took time out to help us out and actually helped us procure a deal through Atco Atlantic Records. And that was it. We went right in the studio, started recording that first album.
Mm-hmm.
We did everything in a couple of days. We did the whole in a couple of days.
Oh, wow.
And we got charged a Brinks truck full of money by the company that owned the studio, because they were triple dipping, because we were in the studio with Adrian Belew and the Bears and also Skid Row, and we'd sneak in there at 2:00 in the morning to do our stuff. And it was an ounce of cocaine and a couple of bottles of Jack Daniels, and we just bashed it out every single night with a couple of good friends of ours who came out and were able to help facilitate those party favors. And then we realized, you know what? We're making a great record here. We got to be real careful on our approach to it, because, getting high on drugs and stealing horses in the middle of the night really wasn't going to set the tone for the band in the future. And we made that record and we gave it to the label. They never came out and visited us one
really?
time, never checked on us or anything. Everything sounds terrific. We got Paul Laney to come down from Los Angeles and mix the record there in Lake Geneva. And we were off and running to the races. And I'm telling you, and it was a real challenge because we had no money back then. We had a management company. Had some nice little things where they could help us out and facilitate a living quarters for us and places to be able to get around with a rent-a-car and stuff. But we had nothing else at all in our back pocket whatsoever except these songs. That was the catalyst to start everything for us. And we've been chasing the carrot ever since, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you're talking about going in the studio and recording all this stuff. And you've put out through your career, you've put out a number of collections or sort of compilation where you've dug into the vaults, you've pulled stuff out. So you go in, you write whole albums, but at the same time, you write enough stuff that you've been able to release some vault style albums as well, like Peach Fuzz, 1985.
Well, we had
album, right?
Yeah, those were actually the early records for us after we recorded our first album, which was the debut with Fly High Michelle and Get High on a New Thing, and
right
For Now and In the Groove and She Wants More and Indian Angel. Before that, we had 1985 record and we had the Peach Fuzz record. Both those records were already recorded. That material was old material. So on those songs right there, that's early Enuff Z'Nuff right there with the old analog tapes we got in the studio. The drums count off 1, 2, 3, 4, and we play the songs. And it was all 1 and 2 takes. We really were quick because we were very well rehearsed.
This is
and went in there, that Peach Fuzz record, same way. Yeah. The reason Peach Fuzz came out so late is because we thought, well, we got better songs than that right now. Let's just keep recording. We did the Strength record. Yeah. We did Animals, Human Intelligence. And then we found ourselves in a weird position where it was a change in the guard in the music business, and we had to put records out there to keep the fans interested in the group until we can come up with new material.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you made the switch from Atco Records to Extra Records with Clive Davis signing you. So how did that come about?
It was lucky, we went through a bankruptcy in 1991.
There you go.
Over Atco Records, we sold a million records. Each record went gold, even though we never were certified. We never get gold records or anything, but we were told both records went gold, and that we were $750,000 in debt.
What?
And we said, how was that the case? And we sold a million records. And they said, well, tour support, going on getting a bus, hotel rooms, all the videos that we shot for MTV. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, we were so far in debt that at the time, management company said, listen, the only way to get out of it would maybe going through a bankruptcy. And it was my idea to go through the Chapter 7 because I knew that to get out of it, we could body slam our creditors collectively as a band as opposed to individually. So we went and hired Brad Block and got ourselves a good litigator, and we claimed bankruptcy and got out of that deal. And we sent our tapes out to a bunch of different labels. And that at this time now was Herbie Herbert that was managing the band, because
All right.
Doc McGee said he did. Bon Jovi told me he doesn't have time to. He says, I need your undivided attention right now. You got too many bands on the roster you're managing. So Doc says, I got to let you guys go. He wasn't mad at us. We got along. We're still great friends to this day. He goes, but I'm going to give you who I perhaps think is the greatest rock manager in the business, Herbie Herbert. So Herbie came on board and started managing the band. And he was the one that said, okay, here's what we got to do, guys, because we have to sell 3-4 million records on Adco Atlantic just to get out of our debt. So we ended up shopping a bunch of demo tapes out, and one of them found Clive Davis. And Clive was kind enough to take on the band. He says he heard a couple of songs. He goes, find these guys right now and sign them. And they brought us to New York. We had a wonderful meeting with him. We did a showcase, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at us like the next Badfinger or the next Raspberries. He just, he loved pop music, but we were a little bit aggressive. He knew we were problem childs, but he still wanted to take a chance on the band because we had such good songs. Mm-hmm. And we were going through a ton of stuff back then. The band, we had a lot of substance abuse problems, mm-hmm. and we were all going through, relationship problems as well, because once you're in a rock band, you have to leave your friends and family behind, and that's when things fall apart at home. Mm-hmm. But we were able to curtail that. We made a great record. Got Nigel Green, who did all the Def Leppard records with Mutt Lange, to mix their album for us. Mm-hmm. And then we went right on the road again. And it was during a terrible time, because that was when there was a change in the garden of music business. And you had all those great bands coming out, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, the list goes on and on. All that Seattle stuff came in. Those guys were all great. And MTV, somebody made a pact down there saying we're going to bring in some new music, and it's going to be called grunge, and we're going to push all the other rock bands out of the way. And we got caught in the middle of that whole hurricane. But we were able to withstand it. We went out on tour. We still play. We're doing clubs and playing opening shows for Dee Snider's band. He had a solo band, Dee Snider Project. Mm-hmm. And then we got a couple of gigs opening for bands like Cheap Trick and Def Leppard. And we were still trying to stay as hungry and as positive as ever, but we knew that we were behind the 8 ball. We were in big trouble because there was a huge black cloud following us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So with that, do you think because you guys got lumped in with the whole glam metal thing, if you had been considered, say, a power pop band or something else, would you have been able to weather it better? Or is that just the way things were at the time and it wouldn't really?
Well, no, Brendan, that's a question that's been asked to me quite a few times. If we would have came out in jeans and t-shirts, would we be the next U2? I can't answer that question. Yeah. I know one thing: if we didn't come out flamboyant like we were, MTV wouldn't have grabbed onto the videos, and we would have been an afterthought. That's so true. It works both ways. We came out of the box. It was like when you put the record on a turntable, you don't see people shaking their ass in smoke machines. You just hear the music and the songs. And right. Perhaps if we came out where we were a little less colorful. Mm-hmm. Maybe it might have happened, but then maybe you might not be talking about that. So I'm certainly not disappointed in what happened to us. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of our discography, and I really believe at the end of the day that if we didn't come out the way we were, which was a band that was like a glitter rock band, a pop glitter rock band, that we wouldn't be a part of anybody's conversation. It was really people were listening with their eyes instead of their ears back then, as Herbie Herbert would say. And we're just grateful to be recognized whatsoever, because there's a lot of good groups out there that just went to the wayside and never came back again.
That's true. Made one album, disappeared. Luckily, you guys made 3 amazing albums right out of the gate. And then just, in my opinion, you just kept on doing it, and it kept solid all the way through. And I know you've got big supporters and people like Howard Stern and other bigger people in the media that have always sung your praises. And it's always just kind of been a big mystery to me that it hasn't caught on bigger than it has. But the fact
I remember when we first came out, and Robert Plant said we're the perfect part of pop meets metal, and I thought, wow, how cool is that? That somebody like Robert Plant would recognize us. And Steven Tyler's always been great. He's always loved the band. He wanted to take us out on tour when they were out with Megadeth. He's going, come on, you guys, get that record happen. We want to bring you out on tour with us. And the guys in Cheap Trick have been great. Us and Guns N' Roses, all the bands out there have always gave us a pat in the back and always gave us the thumbs up and supported us. It's just the times that we're living in right now is too much product, not enough demand. It's very difficult business to be in. But you push all that aside, and you see a band that's out there putting out great songs and going out and touring all the time. You got to give them some kind of credit for their having some integrity.
Absolutely. And the hard, driving energy that you guys continue to do, year after year for as long as you've done it now for over 40 years. Like you said, you've got to give it props no matter what, whether you like it or you don't like it. For a band to continue and do what you're doing, I think somebody's got to give it props.
Yeah, I think of all the bands that came out, the Dan Reed Network and King's X and Jellyfish. Those bands to me should be huge. They should be
Yeah.
household names. And they
Yeah.
just didn't get. Raging Slab was another great
Oh, God, they
band.
were so good.
They just didn't get the opportunities that they deserved. And there's tons more. Okay, it's just off the top of my head right now as I'm thinking about getting ready to fly out of here and go to Philadelphia for the next tour for another month and leave my family behind. There's just so much music out there that's been so strong, and that for some reason there's just not enough room, and just unfortunately those bands didn't get a chance to really reap the benefits that they sowed, because those are good songs, and to this day you can listen to those records, and they're very exciting groups.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, talking about having done this for 40 years on, you guys have a new album out, Extra Cherries, which thankful to Cleopatra who sent it to me early so that I could get a listen to it. I reviewed it for the channel. I'm going to leave a link in the description, guys, if you want to check it out. But Chip, this album here is really interesting. You've got all these great guest artists on here. Again,
Yeah.
is this an album that you've done new with the guests, or is this collected together again from different recording sessions over the years?
It's both. Okay, there's a lot of new songs on there that I've written, and there's a lot of stuff on there that's been co-written, and I've worked out with other musicians. Steve Brown from Trickster and Def Leppard was kind enough to give me an idea for a great song. He's a wonderful writer. He did the Ace Frehley record,
Yeah.
10,000 Volts, and we toured together years. Him and PJ are great brothers of mine, and he made a killer song called Fling. I thought was great. I went in there, did my thing to it. Another tracks on there, the Journey one. That's one that I did with Neil Sean 40 years ago. That just sat in the vault, didn't do anything, no singing on it, no vocal, no melody, no nothing. Just the piano, guitar, bass, and drums. And Herb was the catalyst there. He said, call Neil and try to get him on one of the records. He loves Enough Enough. And I used to hang with Neil all the time. He's a big Derek Frigo fan. And I asked him, I said, man, I'd love to play on the record. He says, yeah, I'd love to do it, Chip. And then I told him who we were with at the time, and he just didn't feel comfortable doing any recordings with that company. So he passed on. He wanted a lot of money, and I said I couldn't do it. So when I found that track, I said, this is a no-brainer. I got a wonderful song here, almost a song. I need to find the right guy to come in here and be the face of it and sing on it besides myself. And that's when a little light bulb went off, and it was the great Robert Fleischman, who used to play with Journey.
Yeah.
I call him on the phone. I just did a record with him the previous year. He's got a solo record called Emotional Atlas. It's kind of like an EDM record, and it's really good. The real synthesizers, the Moog synthesizers. The only real instruments on the record are his voice and my bass guitar. And I asked him, I said, I got a crack here with Neil, Sean, and Donnie from a long time ago. I'd love you to sing on it. And he goes, let me hear it. And I play it for him, and a half an hour later, we had a song.
That's awesome. So,
which is called Shine. It's a wonderful track, and it really shows the band in this. And it was the funny thing, Brendan, it was recorded in a studio live, no overdubs, okay? Not like nowadays, everything's Pro Tooled to death, and and you can just bamboozle and talk the dog off the meat truck. This is a real song with real guys playing 1, 2, 3, 4, go. Yeah, we laid that track live in the studio. We did 2 takes of it. We kept the second take. We thought the first one was good. The second one had a little more energy. And then all of a sudden I put a vocal on it. Before you know it, voila, brand new song with members of Journey, Vinnie Vincent, Invasion, and Enuff Z'Nuff. I'm real proud of that track.
Absolutely. And what a great way to end the album. It's the last track on here. That's fantastic.
Well, I probably did that because my ego is bigger than the crowd at a Metallica show. I thought, well, if I put it early in the record, then everybody's going to anticipate hearing a record with that voice on the whole thing. And Robert Fleischman, wonderful singer. So I said, I'm going to put it as the last song on there. A real treat to not only the fans around the country that love those bands, but for our Enuff Z'Nuff fans too, to hear a great collaboration between wonderful musicians that all get along together, but have different styles.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one that's on here, You Want to Make Me Lie, which has Robin Zander, but it's got Derek Frigo playing lead guitar on it. And I got to say, it was so great to hear his guitar sound again. It's so sad, with his passing. I think that was around 2002, 2003, somewhere in there. But where did this track come from? How long has that been kicking around?
It's actually a track I wrote recently actually, and I
Okay.
thought, what can I do to do something special? So I had tracks from Robin Zander when he sang on my solo record, and I pillaged a couple parts off there I thought were great and would fit in the song because it's so hard to get Robin on stuff. He sang on my solo record, Strange Time, which is on Cleopatra Records.
This one.
He did a conversion of All Day and All the Night, which is coincidentally one of the first songs Cheap Trick ever played when Robin joined the band.
Hmm.
I got him to sing on that one, which is fantastic. He got Adler to play drums on it as well from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
But on this record, I tracked the whole record with Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick,
Yeah, I was
and
going
then
to
I
ask about
and
that.
then I put the Robin part on the chorus there because that was a beautiful vocal part that seemed to fit perfect setting up the chorus. And then the Frigo stuff, I have hours and hours of outtakes of Derek playing guitar just by himself because that's how he was.
Really?
He was a real musician.
Yeah.
Love Alan Holmesworth, love Adrian Belew, was a big Joe Perry fan. He's just one of those guys that had a wonderful vocabulary when it came to music. And I put that solo together. It's him playing, but I put it together. I listened to the key of the song and listened to his timbre and listened to
Hmm.
my melody line and put something together that I thought would be really nice. And it was Pro Tool a little bit, where I come solo, but for the most part, it's just one or two takes of Derek playing guitar in the middle of the night in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
Man, you wouldn't even know that. I thought this was an old song written with him to find out that you were able to take it from, just Derek playing stuff that you have these tapes from, but you worked it into a whole new song. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Johnny Frigo, his father, who coincidentally Johnny played on the Enuff Z'Nuff Strength album,
Hmm.
and wonderful violin parts on there, and we were very close. He was like a second father to me, and I thought I want to keep the legacy out there. A lot of people love the early Enuff Z'Nuff stuff.
Yeah.
It's only fitting that I get a chance to share Derek's guitar playing once again
Yeah.
with all his fans that are out there. And there's
Right.
quite a few of them. I love the Frigo family,
Yep.
and let's keep the name out there and let's keep his guitar playing. If I have more stuff in the future, I promise I'll share it with everybody out there.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And then also, so on this album, you've got a new lineup on this. You've got Jason Camino on guitar, Lewis
Yeah,
Cully.
Jason Comedy used to play with the Nelsons.
Oh,
And we
did
toured
he?
with the Nelsons back in the
Oh,
90s,
I didn't know
following
that.
on Guns
That's
N' Roses and Skid Row. And a wonderful guy, never found drugs, never found promiscuity. Just a clean cut, long haired dude who loves Thin Lizzy and Queen and Led Zeppelin. And he was a perfect fit for the band. And he was the one that actually got me to get Gunner to come down and play slide guitar on
yeah.
Star Star
Right, right.
because they're still very good. We're all still pretty good friends. And I thought, well, this is just a perfect marriage right here. I didn't know that Gunnar even played slide guitar, and then he sent me the parts,
Hmm.
and it sounded like the Cat and Foghat. I was like, fabulous guitar playing. It's beautiful. Little George Harrison in there as well. So that was cool that Jason was able to put that deal together with the Nelson guys because those guys are great friends. I'm glad you rocked with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Lewis Colley, who's on guitar. Any story behind that?
Yeah, he's in a band called Red Devil Vortex. He came out and helped us out on a tour back a couple of years ago with Trickster, Pretty Boy Floyd, doing this loud glam slam metal jam tour around the country.
Hmm.
Fabulous guitar player, wonderful singer, great songwriter. He legacy of Enuff Z'Nuff. He's been in the band now for a little over a year, and I think he's a fabulous addition to the band. People come out and see the show, and they're blown away by his guitar virtuosity. He's just a fabulous guy. He's from Brazil. I don't
Oh,
know, something
really?
in the water out there, but those guys can play guitar and sing.
Yeah, they certainly can. So another track I wanted to ask about was you've got Sanibel Island on here. So coming from your album that you did back in what 2002 2003, Welcome to Blue Island. So what was the thought behind recording a new version of that?
Well, in 2002, 2003, Donnie left the band, and he was just disillusioned by the business. He was fed up with everything, and he
Yeah.
just wanted to do something a little different. And he wanted to do a solo record.
Hmm.
So I came in from from Chicago to Los Angeles to play on a few of the songs on a solo record. And I brought that song down. I got some new songs. We should do one more Enuff Z'Nuff album, bro. And I brought down Sanibel Island. He goes, "Oh, this is great, man." And he did his thing to it. It was a great collaboration.
Hmm.
He's always been a wonderful songwriter and a great singer. And we recorded the song, but we weren't in the best condition when we did the song. We did it here in Chicago at a place called Star Tracks with
Hmm.
a guy named Jeff Lewis, engineer who was doing a lot of hip hop stuff but he liked rock as well, and talked him into letting us come in the studio at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And we weren't at 100%, that's for sure, but we were still rolling. And we recorded that record called Welcome to Blue Island.
Yeah.
And it just didn't cause a lot of commotion, although a record I think is a fabulous a representation of what we were all about at the time. A real rock band, real pop rock band that's out there fighting through. We knew we were in big trouble. The Black Cloud was following us. We did that record. Donnie split once again. He was in California living he got married and was living out there. And we didn't know what the future held for Enuff Z'Nuff. And for a long time, I always wanted to sing on that song. I thought it's one that cracks. I think a lot of people would really love that track. It's the perfect dichotomy of a mixture of pop, rock, alternative, and I just thought, maybe if I try to re-record this one, I could give it some justice. If I couldn't do well on it, I definitely would have let it go. But I went out and got a couple of good friends of mine, besides Dak Nielsen playing drums on it. I got my buddy Joel Norman from Indianapolis Casino on it, and its song took on another life. And I was just pleasantly surprised that we had something cool there. And I said, well, I put it on the record, and I said, why not? Because I want to see if there's any success in any of the Enuff Z'Nuff songs I've done with Donnie. I want to see him get his beak wet as well. Right. So I thought, and it fit on the record. I thought it seemed like a nice track. I play it for John Bevois from the Plasmatics. He goes, this is a hit song. So, I at the end of the day, I was just grateful to be able to re-record it, do it some justice, get some great musicians on there to cameo with me, and go out there and we'll put it out there and we'll play it in concert and see how the people react to it. But so far, it's been thumbs up. Anybody that's heard the record goes, Dave, it's one of their favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to see it getting a little bit more love and some more light shown on it. And certainly you did do it justice. As far as Donnie's concerned, are you guys on good terms?
I think so. We just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's in Illinois. They have the Illinois one. There's a Cleveland one. We got inducted into the Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It comes in, I think it starts in September 14th at the Rialto Theater, and we're being inducted with the Smashing Pumpkins and Disturbed, Richard Marx, Head East. There's a lot of good bands from the Midwest that are getting inducted into this beautiful Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I reached out to Donnie, because I look at the bands that even been band 13 years. I look at the groups that are inducted into the Cleveland one, like Guns N' Roses. They called Adler back. They got some of the guys back in the band that haven't been there for a while. Foreigner called Lou Graham back into the fold because he was a big part of their history. And I called Donnie and said, I think you should be a part of this, bro. Yeah, you're the perfect candidate to come in there and sing a couple of songs in front of the audience, let everybody know that you're a part of the history and the fabric of Enuff Z'Nuff. And he said, I'd love to do it. So, and I think in that way, we're pretty good. And we're still trying to work out some business dealings with our songs, because maybe we can do something later on with our catalog of material. There's over 300 songs that are there on Spotify. Right. But this is a good start for us, getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
And then we'll take it from there. Yeah, I wouldn't be fine. I'll always love him. He's one of my favorite singers in the world, great songwriter beyond belief. I'm grateful that I call him my partner for a good 20-something years in Enuff Z'Nuff.
Yeah, well, certainly congrats on the induction there, and glad to hear that, maybe there's something, for you guys to get back together and, have some dealings with things in the future. So that's wonderful to hear that you're on at least good terms in that regard. And so
thanks. Luck is the resident design. We'll see what happens, what the future holds there. But I'm very grateful that we get a chance to celebrate another landmark another feather in our cap, another bullet in our holster of a long, illustrious career writing great pop rock songs and travel around the country.
You bet. So I'm gonna wrap up here in just a minute and let you go, because I know you're getting ready to head off, to go do your tour and everything. But I wanted to ask about a different project, switch gears from Enuff Z'Nuff. You've got ZFM coming out, so you've got something else happening. You want to talk a little bit about that for a minute?
Well, I got the Zen from Mars. I did that years ago with those cats from different bands around the country. Yes, Bang Tango, Drew's in that band, and the cats from Fozzy. I think it was what's that band over in Minnesota? There's quite a few musicians that were playing that record. That heavy metal guys and hard rock guys that they've asked me to come on down there and play and write some of the songs. Steve is from Kick Tracy singing on all that stuff. It's really good. And that record just got a deal just recently.
Yeah.
And so they're talking about putting that out. And I think it's out right now, as a matter of fact. People can go get the Sent from Mars record. But I also did the Enuff Z'Nuff record, Dave Ellefson from
Oh,
Megadeth. We did a couple songs in the studio. One of them was
okay.
Down by Cheap Trick,
Oh, wow.
which I think is a great, wonderful, great cover song right there. And we did Alia by Donnie Iris. And you can get that too. And it's pretty good. I also did the last London Choir Boy record there called The Choir Boys. And now it's called
Yeah.
Black Eyed Sons. I did that with Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. That's a good record you can get
Yep.
right now. And there's probably a few other things that are out there. I really have stayed busy besides Enuff Z'Nuff stuff
Yeah.
and going on tour. Last year we did 140 dates, so we've slowed down a little bit this year. I think we've done about 35, 40 shows so far, and there's still a lot more in the book. So, but there's a lot of music that's out there that I've played on or I've cameoed on. And I'm real proud of that, to be honest with you, Brendan. It's always nice when people call you and they ask you to be a part of their project. And I'm grateful that the telephone still rings for me.
Well, it certainly shows quality of what it is that you can bring to the music, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with your personality and who you are as a person. Being such a positive, uplifting individual. So having that kind of a personality, yeah, people are going to call you and have you come out, I'm sure.
It's nice when people reach out to you. It's a business that's predicated on friendships and relationships. I've said it in every interview, but it's true. And I'm lucky enough to cultivate that and be able to get great musicians to sing and play on the new Enuff Z'Nuff album, along with any of the cameo stuff that I can do. It's really it's a blessing from above. Thank you.
Absolutely. So everyone, definitely check out the new Enuff Z'Nuff, Extra Cherries. It's on Cleopatra Records. It's due out July 25th, so mark your calendars on it. But I'm telling you, right from here, this is such a great record. Chip is really bringing it, especially with the new guys that are on here. If you want the classic sounding stuff, that's what this album is doing it. You're bringing all the hallmarks of the Enuff Z'Nuff sound right here on this with a lot of cool guests. So do check that out.
Yeah. I forgot to mention I pillaged the drummer from White Lion, Mike Tramp's White Lion. So I got Brent Arsman playing drums with us on this tour.
Oh, fantastic.
Fabulous player.
Solid.
And I just did this great record it's called Hair Supply. A bunch of bands are on it. My friend Eric Baker over at M3 set me up like a champion. And Every Woman in the World was a song that we did. That'll be coming out in a couple of months. And the whole Enuff Z'Nuff is on that track as well. And that's going to see a lot of eyes and ears, my friend, because not many rock bands have taken on Air Supply songs. They're very challenging, those guys. Yeah. They sound simple, but really great songwriters, those cats. And they're going to share it on their social media. And we shot a video for the single, Every Woman in the World. I'm looking forward to releasing that as well. And a quick little shout out, by the way, to Amanda over at ABC and my constituents at Cleopatra Records, Brian Pereiro. He carries a big stick along with Matt and Ken over at Cleopatra offices. Those guys are really breaking their asses for us every single day. And not a day goes by where I don't appreciate their help, because too much product, not enough demand. You got to get out there and work hard. And it's guys like you, Brandon, that help out and move the needle for all of us bands. And I appreciate you beyond belief.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for continuing to do what you do. We love it here. And for everyone tuning in, like I said, check out the new Enuff Z'Nuff, and certainly go out and see these guys live. Chip is getting ready to head out on tour, so we're going to let him go. But Chip.
Yeah, Brandon, I'm getting ready to go out with Pretty Tied Up, which is an all-star band playing nothing but Appetite for Destruction. I got a whole month of July going out on tour with these guys. So check out prettytiedup.com, see all the dates that are out there. Maybe we're coming through your city. And if you want to hear me on Monsters of Rock 7 days a week, monstersofrock.com.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you real soon. Have a good one.